Hi, welcome to Mujalefa Maloka Podcast, a space where we share on how to live, work, and think brilliantly. In his podcast, Mujalefa explores subjects such as wellness, vocational and personal excellence and performance, leadership, spirituality, and relationships. As you prepare to listen to this podcast, get ready to be inspired, engaged, and challenged. Hi everyone, this is Mojalefa and I want to talk to you today about longevity. What's longevity? Longevity is durability, endurance, lastingness, and just something that kind of lasts for a lifetime. When I was growing up, there used to be this particular battery brand. It prided itself in being a battery that lasts long. So obviously, if you could afford it, you would go for that brand because even in its advertising, it used to present itself as this brand that lasts for long. A couple of quotes are out there regarding longevity, which I believe are quite interesting. I'm sure we know of people that have lived for long, for cars that have always been said to be cars that last for generations. There was this other ad I remember years ago. It was a VW advert that kind of showed those hippie buses, minibuses, and it was quite a nice ad. I mean, I still remember that ad very well. It kind of depicted that minibus as a car that had longevity that could be passed on from one generation to the other. And somehow it got me thinking about my own longevity, whether I am built to last or whether I will be kind of like a one-hit wonder. What causes people to actually last for long? That is quite an interesting question. How do some people become successful and some not so successful? How do this group of people become brilliant and the next group of people do not become brilliant? Say Cotter said, longevity is the key to success. Satya Nadella said, longevity in this business or in business is about being able to reinvent yourself or invent the future. That is quite a remarkable statement. And trying to unpack that, for me, I think there is no one who is a prime example of longevity, such as Madonna. I don't really follow her music, but having lived through part of her music career, I have seen quite a lot of what she has done as being reinvention, working on herself, working on her craft, getting herself out there, being different she's. If that is the right word to use. So for me, Madonna has really been a prime example of longevity. Someone that I believe if we are going to kind of last in this career or in whatever career that we have, we are going to have to be people that have longevity. It really got me thinking about the kind of person that I want to be and the lasting impact that I want to have. So as we carry on, Rob Lowe said, to achieve longevity, you will have cycles. I don't know about you, but when it comes to me, longevity really and life in itself is in cycles. I always tell people, don't get excited when other people have downfalls, because it won't be very long until you experience a bit of a downfall at some point in your life. I think it is important for us to prepare ourselves and humble ourselves, because then it will help us when it comes to how to do life. So I don't know. I still like what I got from Satya with the idea of reinventing yourself. I think for me, it's something that we totally need to zoom into and work on in our lives. How do I reinvent myself? The next thing was the issue of reinvent the future. That was quite interesting. And I think if we are going to have longevity in our lives, we are going to have to be people that learn how to reinvent ourselves, understand that I am a brand, understand that there are people that I will be able to reach out to, and some that I won't be able to reach out to. But the main thing is for me to understand that I am a brand and I need to treat myself as a brand. So longevity is a very important thing. If you're a musician, I think one of the biggest fears of any musician is being a one-hit wonder. Coming in, doing that one song that everybody likes, and then, you are no longer there. I think for me, it is a scary idea. But learning from life, we get to realize that you can actually reinvent yourself. You can actually reinvent yourself and become a better version of yourself. So I believe that it should be our aim, it should be our vision to be people that are smart enough to realize that I need to be able to rebrand myself and be different things to different people. It takes imagination, it takes creativity, it takes you thinking outside of the box. Okay, my challenge to us is to say to ourselves, how will I be able to invent the future? Literally invent the future. You invent the future by being fully present in the present, but also having a vision for your future. That's how we reinvent the future. Rob Lowe said, to achieve longevity, you will have to live and understand that life works in cycles. That's why they always tell you, when it comes to life, we live it in cycles, 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 cycles. Repetitively, it's important for you to understand that life is a revolving wheel. That's how life works. There's always refreshing that happens when you come back. There's always a time to refresh. So you need to constantly be able to understand that life works in cycles. How I'm going to last long is to understand that this cycle might end. Whatever it is might end, and I might have to reinvent, come up with the next assignment. And when I'm talking about cycles, I'm not talking about coming up with some crazy ideas that are out of proportion. But what I'm saying is that new assignments, new thoughts, and engage in your creativity in the idea of reinventing yourself. Rob Lowe continues to say, no one gets there in one straight shot. In other words, life is not lived linear. Life is not lived straight. Life is lived in cycles. Some people believe that it's 30-year cycles. Some people believe that one cycle is until 50 and another one starts again. But life is lived in cycles, and you constantly need to go to God and ask the key questions. What's my next assignment? What's the next best thing to do? Am I prepared for the next cycle in my life? Or am I spiraling out of control? That is quite an interesting question. I want to live a life where I am built to last. I don't know about you, but I want to live a life that is where durability is standard, where endurance is standard. Have you ever been in a building that's compromised? Most buildings that are compromised are buildings that have got cracks, the foundations were faulty, and all the other things. So I'm going to get into that in a second. Okay, Raymond Moody says, a sense of humor has been linked with longevity. If you want to live long, you need to learn to laugh. Sometimes I just believe that, man, we struggle in life because we just don't laugh enough. There's a song by Nat King Cole entitled Smile, which I think is something that is a missing ingredient. When was the last time you laughed at yourself instead of insulting yourself? When was the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror and thought to yourself, this is funny, this is a funny side of my life? I believe that if we are going to last long, we are going to have to laugh a while. It is a possibility that the mental attitude reflected in a lively sense of humor is an important factor. It's an important factor predisposing some people towards long life. So how do I last long? Let me give you some ideas, right? Let's think, how do I last long? How am I going to last long in life? How do I ensure that my life has an impact and that I last long and that my legacy is a lasting legacy? I don't know about you, but I want to live long and strong. I want to see my kids, my grandkids. I don't want to be selfish with all this love, So how do I ensure? What are the keys to ensuring that I have longevity in my life? Number one, stubbornness. It takes stubbornness to build your life or your brand to last. If you are not stubborn in life, you are not going to crack the code. The code of life is stubbornness. If you are moping, if you have a banana spine, you are not going to thrive in life. It is important. Most people that have been seen longevity in their lives, that have been built to last, that are strong and resilient, are people that are stubborn. People that have made up their minds that I'm going to have a bulldog kind of faith and idea to life. So you need to be stubborn. Stubborn with your vision, stubborn with purpose in your life. And number two, how do I ensure that I have longevity and longevity to what I do? Number two is faith. Without faith, it's impossible to have staying power. That's what we call it. I'm sure we've seen now, even now, with what is going on. Brands are coming, brands are going, brands are coming, brands are going. But there seem to be some brands that are lasting longer. I made an example with Madonna to say, she's reinvented herself so many times. I was watching a podcast of this other pop star also. I'm sure you've seen Lady Gaga, right? So I was watching a podcast that she did. Actually, it was also part video where she was talking to Oprah. And we all know Lady Gaga for wearing all these crazy outfits and really these things that go all the way out and kind of like don't make sense, right? We know her for being this crazy girl that doesn't make sense. And when she was in this interview, she was dressed normally with glasses and everything. Well, that was a shocker for one, because most people were actually used to her being a shocker. But now people are shocked that she's no longer shocking. That's something else, right? She's like, you know what? When I started my career, I realized that shock was a strategy. She used shock to position herself in the musical industry. And she said, I've done what I needed to do. I don't need to wear meat. I don't need to wear crazy outfits anymore. I have come to a point where I have built a name for myself and I've built a brand for myself. And that to me was quite remarkable, to say you need to be in charge of your identity. You need to be in charge of strategy in your life. You need to be in charge of operations in your life. Who is running the ops in your life? Who is running the strategy, the identity, the brand in your life? If you are going to be built to last as a brand, you need to know what you need to do when, what you need to become when. So number two, it's faith. And that is a deep belief in who you are and whose you are. Number three, integrity. If you are going to be built to last in life, you are going to have integrity. In other words, allow God and allow life to do quality checks on you. And that takes hardship. I'm sure we all know the South African Bureau of Standards and how they work and other quality assurance organizations. It's a difficult job because there are standards, there are quality measures that need to be looked into. It's not an easy process. Some things have to break, some make it and some don't, but it's part of that journey. It's part of life. It's part of being tested in life. So integrity must be tested in your life. And if you are going to last as a brand and as an individual, you are going to have to seriously look into issues and matters of integrity, matters of ethics, matters of morals. That is how quality buildings and structures are tested. Bricks are tested. Foundations must be tested. It is important because if you are going to build very high, the roots have to go very, very, very deep. So integrity is important. In other words, be a person of your word. Okay, that's number three, integrity part of doing things. How am I going to be built to last? The next thing, point number four, choices that you make. The decisions that you make must be quality decisions if you are going to be built to last. So you need to actually think quite deeply about your choices, think quite strategically about your choices. Why am I doing what I'm doing? How is this going to benefit me? How is this going to benefit who I work for? It is important for you to choose well. And that is where wisdom comes in. That is where understanding comes in. You need to be able to make quality decisions and know when it's time to call certain things quit, when it's time to adopt certain measures, when it's time to adopt certain practices. It is important. So, number 4 is the choices that you need to make. Ensure that before you do anything, you check the decisions that you are about to make and what the consequences are and what you are trying to achieve. And that is what choices are all about. So what am I trying to achieve by doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I need to ensure that my choices align with my vision and where I am going. So number 4, when we talk about longevity, being built to last, right? It's going to take choice. And then number 5 is the issue of pace. Remember, guys, that in life, it is not a sprint. Life is a marathon. So you need to know what you are trying to achieve and how far you want to go and how long you want to keep it going. I think that sometimes the reason why we run out of breath and stamina in life and we run out of energy in life is simply because of the fact that we don't pace ourselves. You need to run your race to win. So if you are going to run to win, you need to be very, very specific about the pace that you are going to adopt. What kind of pace are you going to adopt? What kind of steps, the speed at which you do things? Most of the time, you find people in such a hurry, trying to get everything done everywhere. And life doesn't work like that. It is important for you in life to understand that pace is everything. Pace yourself. Run your race and be a person of pace. What kind of pace are you going to adopt in this thing called life? So I want to challenge you today to be very, very, very strategic also about the pace. It is said that when you are going to build very high, you spend quite a lot of time on foundations. I have learned that sometimes the best thing that can ever happen in life is for certain things to be delayed, because I'm sure we all know of child stars, right? Those are kids that grew up under the spotlight, and most of them have actually been identified to struggle with being adults, because somehow, especially the successful ones, because when they started succeeding, then all hell broke loose, because then, they had not developed accordingly. Things just happened so quickly. It's like when somebody wins the lotto. When somebody wins the lotto, most of the time, they don't want to get financial advice. They don't want to get anything because they think they've got everything checked out. But easy come, easy go sometimes. You find that because they never paced themselves, they lose everything. They lose the money they got because now they are not paced accordingly. Their success was not paced. There's a book that teaches about the whole thing, to say companies that last long are companies that are not very flamboyant, they're not charismatic, they're just organizations that have got their hand on the pulse, that have got their eyes looking at the right thing, and they spend a lot of time building on foundation, spend a lot of time fixing foundations about where they are going and what they are doing. So that is number 6 also. 5 and 6 is about pace. It's 5, 6 is foundations. Buildings are destroyed because of faulty foundations. If you are going to last long in life, if you are going to be built to last, if you are going to build anything to last, you are going to have strong foundations. It is important, and foundations are really values. If those are shaken, I promise you, in no time whatsoever, the building or whatever that you are building collapses, because the values and the belief systems are not where they are supposed to be. So I want to encourage you to say to you, if you're going to be built to last, if you're going to build anything enduring in life, if you are going to build an organization that's going to last for long, you need to have the proper foundations. In other words, motives also have to be in the right place. So in most cases, we are not ready for success. We are not built to last because foundations are shaky. The pace at which we are functioning is shaky. Choices we are making, we are not people of integrity. We are not stubborn in our faith. We are not people who are resilient. We don't have a lot of faith. Then the next thing is number 7, your vision. If you are going to be built to last, you are going to have to see beyond the valley. of life, because life has valleys and serious valleys. So you need to be able to actually work yourself to say, I need to see clearly. What do you see happening in the future regarding your life, your family, your marriage, your organization, your business? You need to be able to have a proper vision to see beyond what other people see. I love that quote that says the worst thing that can ever happen to somebody is not for them to go blind, but the worst thing that can ever happen to somebody is for them to actually have eyes but not see, eyes but not have vision. And that is the worst thing in life. So we need to ensure that our vision is intact. If you are going to make it in life, if you are going to succeed in life and have longevity, have things that last for long. I remember this song by this guy, Kamazu and Sinyaka, God rest his soul. And they were talking about stuff, I won't say from which race, I think you know that thing, it's called Fong Kong, right? But the one thing, I remember I once bought shoes, and I won't tell you, it was a while back when I was in university. Oh, those shoes, they looked beautiful. The shoes were nice, right? The shoes were nice. But I promise you guys, the shoes did not last for more than 2 months. They were kaput, they were finished. Why? Because they were not built to last. They were built for a week, and then you toss them because maybe you urgently need shoes and you can't get them anywhere else. We can't be those kind of people that crack under pressure, that can't last long. I remember being told a story by this great man that I love and respect about bricks that they bought from this other company. And they bought the bricks were delivered, they started building. But when it started raining, true to the story, he says the bricks started crumbling. And they went back to the company. There was a to and fro and all the other stuff. And the company's like, no, it's not our fault. But he says, no, but this thing has no integrity. These bricks have no integrity, which means your brand is actually now bordering along the lines of being a immoral company, a company that has no ethics. But true to the story, well, after a while, they actually succumbed to pressure and they gave proper bricks. But it can show you how much wastage can go into things when bricks or things are not of quality. May we be quality people that will last for long and long and long and long. I know there's something called a lifetime watch, and I think that I would desire for you and me to be lifetime people. In other words, people that will have longevity, that will be built to last, that will be credible, that will be reliable. In other words, people that are not going to bail out at the last minute. I need to finish this quickly. Number 8, if you are going to be built to last in life, you need to learn how to fail forward. Let me tell you the truth. Nobody succeeds without failure. You will fail at some point in life. Failure is part of life. I'm not prophesying badly. I'm not speaking ill. But what I'm saying is that you need to learn how to fail forward. In spite of your mistakes and your challenges and all the stuff that you've been through, you need to be the kind of person that says, I'm going to take a licking and keep on ticking. In other words, I need to learn as I go. So if this thing doesn't work, let me try something else. Or if I need to redo it, I will redo it. It's part of life. If it's not working, I'm going to try and fail forward. The worst thing is not being divorced. The worst thing is not learning about what caused the divorce to happen and not learn from that too. So the key here is learn. I always hear people saying experience is a teacher. But somebody said experience is not a teacher. Experience is not a teacher. What they actually said was learning from experience is the teacher. Learning from experience is what's the benefit. The lesson behind everything is what is important. So you mess up, you screw up, things don't go well, but you need to be able to go back to the drawing board and say, this was bad and it didn't go well, but now I need to work on it and fix it, right? So learn to fail forward. Prepare for the worst, but expect the best out of life. Okay, number 9, energy management. If you are going to pace yourself, if you are going to build things that are going to last, you need to have energy management. You can't be everywhere doing everything for everybody. That's not how you are going to last long. Pace yourself, have an aim, have a goal, have objectives. Don't do everything. Don't be everywhere. Because you only have one body. So I think one of the things that really hurt me in the past was I tried to be everything to everybody, and that killed me. I tried to be everything to everybody because I could not manage my energy properly. So you need to be able to manage your energy well. And I'm not saying be selfish, but what I'm trying to say is that don't be everything to everybody and don't try to be there for everybody. Because in doing that, you may not even have energy and put it where it's needed, right? Because remember, energy disappears, okay? Energy, it gets depleted. So I need to know, I need to give my best to work, my family, my kids, my marriage, to what I do with coaching. I need to give it my best. So I need to reserve all this energy. I can't be kaput by the time I get home, because then that means I'm giving the rest to my family and not the best. So think about that. Energy management. Number 10, how do I ensure longevity? Know what works and know what doesn't. And that takes you studying, being a student of life. What works and what doesn't. There are some things that don't work. And it doesn't take rocket science. What it basically needs you to do is for you to say, what can I learn from other people's failures and successes? What can I learn from other people's failures and successes? What can I learn so that I reserve my energy and I'm not everything to everybody? And it takes books, it takes you reading, it takes you investing in reading. It takes you, absorbing what other people tell you to say from their experience, this is what happened, so that you don't emulate people's mistakes unnecessarily. I don't have to touch the stove to know it burns. If somebody tells me this thing burns, I don't have to jump off a building in order for me to know that gravity works. You learn that. So what works and what doesn't. Number 11, discipline, 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 right? Jim Collins says, discipline is the greatest thing in the world. Where there is no discipline, there is no character. And without character, there is no progress. I'm going to read that again. Jim Collins, the author of Built to Last, says, discipline is the greatest thing in the world. Where there is no discipline, there is no character. And without character, there is no progress. So for us, I believe it is important. It is vital for us to be people that have some sort of discipline. If you can't discipline yourself, if you can't put yourself into check, then you won't be able to build anything that's going to last. Character is a very important thing, and you build character through discipline. If you want to live a long life, focus on making contributions in your life and to others. So I believe that we are in a time where we need to think about these concepts. We need to think about longevity. We need to think about, am I building things that are going to last? Or am I building things that are short term? I mean, I was listening to a story of this person who kind of got mad at life, got mad at God, and decided to do his own thing. And judgment came to him, and somebody came to him and said, "You are going to lose everything that you've built. Everything that you've built, you are going to lose." The other part of the judgment was the fact that you will survive it, but your kids are going to bear the brunt for what you've done, for the arrogance that you have shown, because he had shown a lot of arrogance. And his response was, well, I'm glad that it's not going to happen in my lifetime, that it's going to happen with my kids and my future, that I'm still going to remain ruling. And that to me, I thought was quite selfish, because I believe that we need to be building multi-generational wealth, generational wealth, transgenerational wealth, and building something that's going to last long. I know of companies, many of them, who started really succeeding even further when the next generations came. And in some cases, the next generations killed the business, but in some, they built the business. So I want to say to us, when you look at your life, my question becomes, are you strategic? Are you building something that's going to last? If you are going to build to last, it's going to take structure. It's going to take systems. It's really going to take you going all out to say, I need to ensure that I build something that's going to last, something that's got structure, that's got systems. I need to ensure that I am fully covered and I fully cover what I want to do. I hope you enjoyed this session. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. I am Mojalefa Daniel Maluka, and I am your life coach. So if you want to hear more, you will find my podcasts. They are readily available. I'm here to build you up. I'm here to help you up. All the best. Cheers.